Chapter 17 Coffee with Kyra. I slumped in my chair, throwing the pen down. I realized my fingers were aching, writing non-stop for so long now. I let myself drift into a thought block. My heart was still thudding in my chest, threatening to pop out. A while later, Abhigyan joined me. He was exactly who I wanted to see then. "You were just a wee bit late," I said, sitting up. He asked, taking the vacant chair. "For?" "Kyra was here," I answered plainly. Color drained out of his face. "Really? You aren't kidding me, are you, Manav?" He was baffled. I said, "No, I am not. She was here a while ago." I waited for it to sink in. "The real shock for you is this." I looked straight at him and said, "I am about to meet her at the coffee house in exactly 14 minutes from now." I confirmed with my watch and smiled. Abhigyan's eyes seemed to pop out any moment now. He said in a hurried voice, "How, Manav? You said you didn't know her, and now you tell me this? How?" I chuckled. "Nothing to cause alarm, buddy." And I related the whole episode to him. He was in shocked surprise but looked appreciative. "You were super smart, bro," he said. "And you are coming with me," I added. His normal-sized eyes again swelled up. "Me?" he screamed. I said benevolently, "Why not? Firstly, I shall be spared of any awkwardness, and secondly, it would be a treat to you spending time with your Kyra. Last but most importantly, I do not want her to think I am wooing her in any way," I explained. "Still, it's up to you. If you cannot come, then fair enough. I'll take someone else along. Maybe Rahul?" I teased. Abhigyan jumped. "Not on my life. I'm ready. Let's go." I deliberately lazed about a bit before starting off for the coffee house. It was 30 rather than 20 minutes when me and Abhigyan, reached there. It's a blessing the feelings of a man do not show on the outside. Otherwise, I would have blatantly given away my nervousness and shattered the garb of super-confident senior, unaffected by such a trivial entity as an ordinary girl. I laughed inwardly, but put as bold a front as possible and entered. The hall was full of people, students, and attendants alike. The usual and universal cacophony of chatter and laughter, clinking of glasses, crockery, and cutlery hit me. Coming to this place before this one time used to be such a welcome recess, being greeted warmly by the waiters, sitting at our set table, taking a few drags, uncountable cups of tea and coffee, eating to our heart's content, customized food organized by doting waiters. Reckless and relaxed, it was a sort of temporary home in the middle of a hectic, unforgiving routine. Today it was different. Anxiety and excitement both had their zenith, with no option than to move forward and face the fate head-on. I walked ahead as casual as could be, my eyes searching for signs of her presence. It wasn't long before I located her. My heart gave a giant leap again. It was becoming a nasty habit of this unfaithful heart of mine these days. I smiled. I started moving towards her table. There was another girl sitting with Kyra, both chatting comfortably. The conversation stopped at the sight of us. We exchanged curt smiles. Me and Abhigyan took the opposite seats. I took the one exactly in front of Kyra. The same subtle floral fragrance riotously engulfed us that had earlier in the ward met me just before Kyra did. I smiled to myself. I surrendered. Having juniors in vicinity as a reflex brings out the senior in you. The waiter had already reached us. He placed glasses of water and ashtray in front of us and waited with his empty tray clasped in his hands patiently. I addressed the girls. What would you like to have? I asked, looking at neither in particular. Kyra answered for both of them. 2 Nescafe for us, thanks. Abhigan added without being asked. My usual tea. He looked completely baffled. I turned to the waiter and instructed him. 2 Nescafe, 1 tea, 1 filter coffee, veg sandwiches and pastries for us, please. The waiter nodded and went away. I was ready for any retort about the snacks I had ordered, but none came. Turning my head back, I let it linger on her face a little longer. She was grave, busy in scrabbling through the papers in the file that she held. Her ear jewels somehow reflected her mood and expressions I was beginning to learn. At this moment they were somber, swaying quietly, in complete contrast with the time they teased me naughtily at our precursory encounter in the OT. I again smiled inwardly at my whimsical inferences. With Kyra, I realized a whole new world was opening itself to me, to explore, appreciate, enjoy, and imbibe. Never in my wildest of imaginations did I fathom such emotions and responses to exist. How could hormones or any other chemical substance for that matter bring out such novel, fascinating, and intense feelings? It was just not finitely possible. I knew not what was happening. I couldn't define or answer any hows or whys either. All I realized was I could sit there like that, with Kyra in my sight, communicating with my body, mind, and soul, basking in this transcendental phenomenon, at peace, forever. That was sadly not to be, and unwillingly, I stole myself out from the mystical cosmos into the mortal, unassuming world. Abhigan was no help either. He was utterly tongue-tied and bewildered still. I, however, was spared of thinking anything consequential to start a neutral and rational conversation by the loud and shrill voice of this other girl sitting with Kyra. Hello, Manav sir, I am Chitra, she chirped excitedly. I acknowledged with a polite, Hi, how are you doing, Chitra? Do you recollect? We gate-crashed at your class when you taught us instruments in the OT. We were the 2 outlaws not belonging to the official batch, she continued. Oh, how could I forget? Remember the Kelly's clamp? She blurted and got stern glance from Kyra instantly. I blushed before I could guard myself. They both went, "Oh," simultaneously, looking at me and smiling. Her smile made her face glow like countless stars, again giving my poor heart a tough time. It held the world for me. I had to save myself. There was no matron to help me this time. I smiled. Pointing them to Abhigan, I said, These are modern-day juniors for you. This statement was made casually, but Kyra became dead serious. She immediately caught her ears with her hands and said, Sorry, sir, we didn't mean to. The smile that had flashed momentarily on her face just a while ago had completely vanished, and I hated myself to have done that. But the picture that she presented with both her ears in her hands, fluttering her eyelashes innocently, it was so endearing. If only I could click her like that. I intercepted her saying, Oh, come on, I was just kidding. She relaxed. Chitra jumped in with full gusto. In fact, Manav sir, we have all become huge fans of yours after your class and are desperately waiting to be posted with you, she grinned. Kyra looked at her, shocked at her blatancy. Realizing that the damage was already done, she just looked down at her file, avoiding any eye contact. I didn't waste the chance, I said. Really? Is that so? I deliberately leaned forward with my elbows on the table and looked straight at her. She sensed it. She slouched further. Was it a slight blush that I noticed in her cheeks? Tit for tat, Missy, I thought and smiled again to myself. Abhigan was dumbfounded. First, it was Kyra's presence, and then he was shocked at my confident and dominant behavior that he thought not possible in the wake of his blessed Kyra Acharya. I was enjoying it all. I now helped ease all the awkwardness. I said, turning towards Chitra, "Thanks very much for your kind words." Now facing Kyra, I said, "So, Dr. Kyra Acharya, let's discuss the topic that we were asked to, the sole reason we are here for. I was told you are the one who could detail the whole footing and strategic planning for us to work on and move forward. It would be highly unfortunate if Vivek sir doesn't get to become our judo president. We can't afford to leave any stone unturned." Finally, I could look on directly at her without any guilt. My statement came as an instant deliverance to Kyra. She immediately donned her avatar and started placing her file on the table. "Sir, at this moment the situation is very positive and in our favor. Barring the medicine and peds departments, the rest as a majority are on our side." I couldn't help ask, "Medicine, I understand, because it's Dr. Ritesh's own, but why the whole peds department?" She hesitated. "Dr. Manisha, the senior RMO in peds, they are going steady," she stammered. I couldn't resist pulling her leg again. "Come again? Who is going steady? You?" She looked at me with daggers in her gaze. "Dr. Manisha, I said," she clarified. I amended. "Oh, okay, my apologies. I was just joking. It will take some time, you see, before we become comfortable getting lessons from juniors," I winked at Abhigan. He was no better. I eased the situation further. "Please carry on." I turned towards Kyra. It seemed by now she had tired of this strange meeting and wanted to get it over with sooner than later. Like a professional, she restarted. "As I was saying, there are the medicine and peds departments to deal with. Apart from that, there is a major group to be looked into vehemently." She looked into our questioning eyes. "The postgrad residents from other colleges, mainly those who have joined this year." She looked at me. "This is common to all departments. Those who did their undergrad from Raipur are not much of a problem. They all know Vivek sir very well. But those who do not have to be helped know him better. That's where you come in, Manav sir." She looked at me. "You're required to counsel and convince as many of these as possible." The ear jewels were again oscillating, as if nodding in agreement to what she was explaining. "Another major task at hand which needs immediate attention," she was saying, "is propagating the agenda of Vivek sir if he becomes the president, that is. Why to vote for Dr. Vivek Acharya? Each and every one of us have to give a convincing and genuine answer to each and every voter, and that will be our victory." "And what would that be?" Abhigan spoke for the first time. She continued nodding towards him. "Those who know Vivek sir as a person would know that he has a very dynamic and endearing personality. He has extraordinary communication skills. He aims at universal harmony and mutual cooperation among residents in totality. Life should be made easier for them, at least apart from the pressures and difficulties that the department poses in front of them regularly. Whether it's their daily utilities, hostel issues, food or accommodation, any and everything that can be smoothened up should be." The dedication, conviction, and command with which she spoke was infectious. I was bowled over completely. Here she was, talking about a life that she hadn't experienced herself, yet understood so well. I was filled with awe and appreciation. She continued for 10-15 more minutes, completely engrossed. referring occasionally to the papers for data and taking intermittent tiny sips of her coffee. I, on the other hand, sat there, mesmerized. Even if I hadn't already felt how I did for her, I would have fallen in love with her now. I couldn't blame Abhigyan. I did agree one couldn't keep his sensibilities and intellect at rest while in Kyra's audience, nor could one let his attention drift even for a split second. Except maybe Chitra, who blissfully went on with her munching of the snacks, frequently calling the waiters for sauces and mayonnaise or water or paper napkin, etc. I sincerely put in my views and means with which to mold the shaky group of voters that she penned down sincerely. She sat relaxed after a while. There was a pregnant silence broken by Kyra when she reminded me I hadn't touched my filter coffee. I was shocked at the realization. Not that I had left my coffee untouched, but by the fact that I hadn't needed the ashtray today. I didn't feel any need even now. I said with finality, I think we had a really enlightening meeting thanks to you, Missy. We shall get back to you in a couple of days with a positive report. Our ultimate goal, hence, will be to make even Ritesh sir to vote for us. I winked at her. She laughed. I dropped dead. I was ready to accept my queen's authority. The finality wasn't only for these elections, it was much more consequential. Kyra would fill and complete my life. I got up, nudging Abhigyan to follow suit. Nice meeting you both, I said, pulling up Abhigyan bodily, seeing he hadn't even moved an inch. It was entirely our pleasure, sir, Kyra said, standing up. Chitra, however, was more vocal. We hope to meet you more often from now on. I'm actually dying to start my posting in surgery, sir. My feelings exactly, I said curtly, stealing a glance again at Kyra before turning to leave. The walk back to the stands was the most tedious. Abhigyan was babbling non-stop, but none of the words entered my ears. All I wanted desperately to do was to reach the secure confines of my room now. I needed to be with myself alone. Concentrating on driving that little distance till my quarters seemed impossible, but I reached at long last. I don't even remember if I locked my bike or not. I slumped in my bed. This day would be etched in my being till the last of my living breath.